1,700 cards, Ryan.
Yeah.
1,700 cards. What are we talking about? We're talking about Vantage. This is a new game that just got announced from Jamie Stegmaier, Stonemaier Games. And once again, he's really swinging for the fences with this one.
This is ambitious. I mean,
you
heard those cards make up an entire planet that you are going to be exploring with over 800 locations. I mean, he said that he has been designing this game and, more importantly, the planet itself for like 7 years. So this is going to be, I mean, this is probably one of the most ambitious games I have seen him talk about.
Yeah, if you are still trying to catch up with our cold open there, we are talking about Vantage. This game was just announced. And just to give you a general idea, we don't know too many details. Jamie was very tight-lipped with that, but they did announce the game. This sounds like an adventure game inspired by things like Seventh Continent, maybe Seventh Citadel, video games like Breath of the Wild and Elden Ring. So definitely wants to give that feeling of exploration and discovery, I think for sure, 100%. But more specifically and mechanically, it is a 1 to 6, although I think it's probably going to be best with multiple players.
Probably.
1 to 6 player cooperative game where you all start out in a ship that's crash landing on a planet, and everyone starts in a new place on that planet, and you're going to get one of many of these location cards, and it's literally in first person. You're looking at this card, and it's as if this is the sort of landscape.
Like the panorama that you see in front of you.
Yeah, we haven't seen any of the cards. There's one image out there that apparently I think Jamie said it's representative of what a card might look like, not what the box might look like.
That little circle, that idea of like, okay, this is everything you see in front of you, and it's cool because we're seeing, landmarks, like we're seeing a volcano and some forest and whatever. What we're not seeing on that card is any icons, which I'm sure in the final version of the game, you're going to be looking like maybe even unlock style at icons in front of you. Well, because he does reference that there's stuff you're going to interact with. There's an action system and some storybooks that you're going to be referring to that's going to actually tell you, like, what do you find at some of these locations. So there's got to be, I'm sure there's going to be some kind of UI on the cards.
To some degree, but also, we didn't mention this. Of those 1,700 cards, 800 of them.
I mentioned it. 800 locations.
800 locations. And it's 400 of those cards double-sided. And then there is another like 900 cards that are discoverable. I don't think those 900 cards are more locations.
No, it doesn't sound like it.
They might be, but it sounds like those 900 cards, or a lot of them, are going to be things or maybe events or different things that you might have, because it also, he mentioned in some of the forums, that you're going to have a tableau in front of you.
Yeah.
And I doubt that's going to be a tableau of all the locations
that
you've been at.
He even said it's not going to be. Like, you're not putting anything on you're not building any kind of map together.
No.
There's not going to be any kind of centralized board. You've got your tableau, which is your character and all this stuff. I'm sure since he did say like Seventh Continent was one of his big inspirations, I wouldn't be surprised if there was some kind of crafting system or some kind of you put these things together.
Well, Breath of the Wild also.
Breath of the Wild as well. Go get card 500 and add it to your tableau, and it's some kind of invention. So you're going to have that tableau, and then you're going to be able to take actions with those cards as well. But the main thing you're doing is moving by looking at that one card. And everybody at the table is looking at their own card. They're seeing the world from their own perspective.
Or vantage.
From their own vantage. And again, throwing back to that, because I've played quite a bit of Seventh Continent, which is a game I really enjoyed. When he said that his inspiration was Seventh Continent, I already knew that, because this feels very much like that, with the idea that every time you approach this world, you're starting over with a new location, with a new objective. And he said on BGG that there's something like 20 different possible objectives that you're going to be assigned. And there's a roguelike element where you're going to play probably until you die or starve or get lost or freeze or whatever terrible thing.
Yeah, it is a roguelike.
It's going to happen. And then you start over again, much like Seventh Continent, with that information of like, well, last time we went to the volcano and it erupted and we died. So maybe this time, let's not go to the volcano.
Exactly.
Like that kind of experience.
Yeah, if most of you probably are familiar with the term roguelike, but for those of you who might not be, because it's more of a video game term than it is a board game term.
It's creeped into board games,
It has
for sure.
crept into board games. It is a game that you run at, you fail, you start over and run at it again. Kind of think of it as an old school arcade game.
Usually with something a little better. So I don't know if you're going to
Something a little better, or at least at the very least, some knowledge about, like
That's
Ryan
what really
said,
matters.
oh, we don't go there, let's go this way.
Sleeping Gods was like that as well.
Sleeping Gods. He also mentioned Time Stories.
Yeah,
among
Time Stories
some
was
of the
like
games,
that.
which Time Stories was very roguelike.
Yeah.
You gathered more information. Go, okay, this is how we're going to try it this time.
Yeah, you hit that rewind button. Though in this one, it sounds like that rewind button has you going back to the ship, starting over again. I doubt you're carrying anything over with you. But again, I want to focus on the Vantage itself, because to me, this is the coolest thing I've seen in a board game.
It's one of the most unique. We'll see how it lands.
The idea that we're doing this mission, but we've been separated. 6 players in different spots. And since there's no world map laid out in front of you, it's not like you can point to people's... They're not moving pawns on a board. The only way that I can know where you are is by looking from my vantage point and hoping that maybe I reference that volcano and I can say, hey, I see a volcano, it's south of me. And then David goes, oh, well, I have a volcano to the north of me.
Or I'm at a volcano.
Or I'm at a volcano right now. Maybe I just hang out here and hope it's the same volcano.
And it would be
It's
awesome if the game involved some of the players at the table actually meeting up and then they're together. I don't know if that's...
I bet you could. I can't...
I don't know if that's the plans, but that would be super cool.
Well, from what he's described, the premise of this being a fully open world that's free for you to explore, he said there's really no restriction. You just go. Whatever mechanic tells you how to go from card to card, like if I'm in this location, I move north, maybe you know, whatever. Or there's maybe directions, or there's icons or numbers. Whatever the system is, there is some system that lets you progress from card to card to card. And nothing is shuffled. Everything is numbered. So every time you move, you're going to a very specific card that is effectively like your GPS coordinates on this world map, which I'm sure that there's going to be some intrepid gamers who are sketching and drawing and making their own maps.
They eventually, after the game has had its life, maybe they'll put out a giant map.
I think that would be awesome for people to like really get into the game like that.
But anyway, that is Vantage from Stonemaier. We don't know too much, but again, we wanted to get in here just like we do with all these things and speculate about what might be going on. Oh, one thing we didn't mention, there's some dice in the game.
And coins.
They mentioned
dice and coins.
Custom dice and some coins, so what those are for.
Well, I'm sure there's going to be
if there's currency and I'm like interacting with marketplaces.
Well, there might be. I mean, you might. Maybe there's locals. We don't know anything about this planet other than that it does, from the Vantage logo or image shared, reminiscent of Earth's biosphere. But
I mean,
you know,
maybe that
but then you find,
represents a helmet that you're wearing and you can't breathe.
So I could see you interacting with people, bringing coins. There's going to have to be challenges. There's going to have to be luck to it for it to be a game. So the fact that there's dice doesn't, scare me away.
One thing is for sure, I think if Jamie's ever been tight-lipped about a game in the past, you can bet anything that we're not going to have very many more details about this game. He's already said in the forums, people have asked some questions, and his answer to that has been, that's something I'm hoping people will enjoy exploring once the game comes out.
I think this is the kind of game that's filled with secrets and Easter eggs and stuff that, like, 5 years later, somebody goes,
I did this.
No one's ever discovered this before.
Card 897. Has anyone found that ever before? That would be wild. Anyway, if you want to speculate, get down in the comments below and let us know what you think about Vantage. If you haven't heard about it, go check out. I mean, you've probably heard about as much of it as you're going to hear about it right here. You've seen about as much of it because we've probably shown this one image 18 times in this video.
And I would love to get my hands on this game as soon as possible. This is what I am very, very excited about.
Yeah, it should be really fun. Until next time, though, make sure everyone has fun at the table, and we'll see you then.